Bobbi Humphrey, brought to you by the United States Army Reserve, and I'm Alison Steele, the Nightbird. That's the sound of Bobbi Humphrey from an exciting album called Satin Doll that's made an enormous amount of noise, not only on the record, since it came out a little while back, and sitting with me in the studio today is herself, Miss Bobbi Humphrey. Welcome, Bobbi.
Hello.
You sure surprised me. You know, you get used to seeing an album cover with the artist's picture on it. And when you walked in, I really expected that cute little round face with those great big eyes. But that's not you. That's a little baby.
No, that's my daughter, Ricky Lynn.
Is that your own little baby?
Right.
That's one of the best-looking album covers I've ever laid eyes on.
Thank you.
What prompted you to put the baby on the album?
Well, I just, decided, since the album was going to be named Satin Doll, to me, she's my satin doll, so I could think of no better picture than her to put on the cover.
You're an unusual combination of an artist and a mother, Bobbi, because no matter how much a mother loves her child, when you're an artist, you're usually a ham. And you say, well, I'm going to put my child's picture. I can put my own picture,
No, I figured, she's a part of me, so that really is me on the cover, too.
You're a modest lady, and she is an absolutely exquisite child, so it was a good choice. And everybody just went crazy over the whole thing. The album, of course, attracts your attention, and then you're more apt to listen to it and find out how good it is. We have a saying in the business, Bobbi, about a lot of heat being on an album. I think there's a lot of heat on your album. Do you have any idea why?
Well, this particular album, I think it has crossed over into different markets. It can't really be classified as a jazz LP. It's listed on the pop charts and also the R&B market. I think it's simply because I've reached a wider audience, and that, that much more people are aware of Bobbi Humphrey,
I guess they figure maybe it's a breakthrough because there aren't too many artists that can do that. It's so easily, each artist is easily pigeonholed, generally. Okay, you're in contemporary, you're progressive, you're jazz, you're pop, you're R&B, and so on. Yeah, I can dig that. What did you do before you made this album, Bobbi?
I had an album out entitled Blacks and Blues, which was really the pivotal point, and it's still doing very, very well. It was like the beginning. It was actually the initial crossover from a strictly jazz market. And
you were initially then
markets.
Just a jazz singer.
Right. My first two albums, Flute and Dig This, they did very, very well. They went up to the top, #1 position on the jazz charts. They did well in the jazz market. But these last two albums have really made the difference.
It's very exciting. I've been talking for some time about the crossovers and how they're happening more and more, and how much healthier it is for our music scene than what we've had before. Bobbi, I'm going to take a moment here for some words from Army Reserve, if it's all right with you. The Army Reserve is made up of all kinds of people, men and women training to serve their country and using that training to help themselves and the communities they live in. They're serving their country in a strong backup force that is vitally necessary to our nation's defense. And while they train for their individual missions, many of these men and women are helping themselves in their civilian lives by learning brand new job skills, or by sharpening skills they already have. And they're helping the communities they live in by putting their Army Reserve training to work to help solve all kinds of community problems. You can help them in their important work. You can help your country, your community, and yourself. You can join the Army Reserve. For more information, call the Army Reserve Center nearest you. The Army Reserve, it pays to go to meetings.
It pays, it pays, it pays to go to meetings. It pays, it pays, it pays to go to meetings. It pays.
This is the Nightbird, Alison Steele, for the United States Army Reserve, and our guest today is Bobbi Humphrey. That's Bobbi Humphrey from her very exciting album, Satin Doll. And she's visiting with me in the studio today. Bobbi, I think I've been sitting here knowing I was going to meet you, trying to think if there's another woman, other than the women who play in all female bands like Fanny and Isis, who plays the flute. Is there?
I can't think of anyone, doing so on a professional basis. There might be, women who are just now starting out who we haven't heard of, but on a professional basis, I'm the only one at the moment.
It's amazing. How long have you been playing professionally?
I've been playing professionally 3.5 years ever since I came to New York in '71.
How'd you happen to take up the flute of all instruments? It's a rather difficult one, isn't it?
Yes, it's one of the most difficult instruments to play. I've always been attracted to the sound of the flute. However, I waited until the latter part of high school to get into the band, and later on I went to college and studied it formally. But I think the flute is a very versatile instrument. That was one of the reasons why I was attracted to it.
Who turned you on to it? Who was your favorite flute player?
My favorite flute player was Hubert Laws. I admired his work.
And that's really what got you kind of started?
Right.
How do you feel about the variants in flute work? For instance, you've got Hubert Laws, and you've got George Benson, and you've got Jason Lind in the jazz milieu. And then, of course, you cross over and you get Ian Anderson and Jethro Tull in the rock. Do you think that the flute adapts itself as well to the rock sound as it does to the jazz?
I think so. Like I said, the flute is a very versatile instrument. It's, previously it was only used in classical music, and musicians who were playing saxophone, they started doubling on the flute, as a second instrument. And Herbie Mann was one of the innovators of, using flute in jazz. And I also listened to him, when I was in high school, too.
Bobbi, I'm going to take 30 seconds here for some words about Army Reserve. The Army Reserve is working with the community, working with the environment, building ballparks for kids, cleaning up polluted waterways, holding mass inoculations to ward off epidemics, being wherever they're needed, whenever they're needed. So when we say it pays to go to meetings, we're talking about a lot more than just money. Let's hear more of Bobbi Humphrey from Satin Doll. Bobbi Humphrey from the Satin Doll album, and she's a really talented lady. One flute player I think that influenced quite a few people I forgot to mention before was Baby Huey. Remember him?
I don't think I'm familiar with Baby Huey.
Oh, God, he didn't do much, and then I think he left us. But he did some dynamite flute work. What's your ultimate ambition, Bobbi? I mean, to look at you, you're just such a feminine lady, How tall are you?
4'11".
4'11". She weighs about 80 pounds.
89.
89 soaking wet. I never lay a hand on the ladies, folks, so I couldn't be that accurate. You seem to me the epitome of femininity, and somehow the music business just never really says that to me. How far do you think you can go in this business? How far do you want to go?
I'd like to go as far as I can go to the top, as they say. I'd like to be one of the people who's around for a long time. I don't want to be what they call just an overnight success. I want to continue to develop my talent, because I think it's only the talented people who will be around for a while.
But then you also dig being...
Love being a mother. I think...
kind of difficult to combine the two?
No, my baby was one of the best things that ever happened to me. It's an interesting diversion. Okay, you deal with the music business day to day. It's good to come home and be a mother and a wife, to forget it all.
You don't come home, you take it with you. You take
That's
your baby
true.
on
My
the
baby,
road.
right, we went on the road when she was 3 weeks old. We went back to work.
Unbelievable. You say we, you and your husband.
Me and my husband and the baby, yeah.
He's a professional musician too?
No, he's my road manager.
What a terrific setup. When the kid gets a little older, you can teach her to play an instrument
Right.
and write it off.
I'm already telling her every night she, better start practicing so I can take a break.
We're going to take a moment here for a word from Army Reserve. And I think we have time for one more cut from the very talented Bobbi Humphrey from Satin Doll. Bobbi Humphrey, and along the way you'll be enjoying a lot of good music. Thanks so much for visiting with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Bobbi Humphrey, and this is the Nightbird. Alison Steele reminding you that it pays to go to meetings in the Army Reserve.